Hey guys, how's everyone doing? Hope you're doing well. You know, I'm gonna try to keep this hell at least PG-13 or R-rated. Nah, I'm in a pretty good mood. I hate making technical videos, but I feel this one needs put out there. But you guys that have watched my channel for a couple of years, you get the idea. You know how I do stuff. Most of you know that I bought a lathe. It's a mini lathe. It was a lemon. Couldn't do nothing with it. We took it back. In the future, I'm looking into a little bigger one. I kind of sort of done chose one, but you know, it's a couple $1,000s, and you know, it is what it is. You guys that have them are fortunate enough to have them. Most of you do some amazing work, put out some awesome saws, but you know, this is about that video. I took it down. Kind of called a guy out, but you know, it was not my fault. The way I was raised, when someone's picking at you, and he even apologized for it. It's a misunderstanding, miscommunication. I don't know, but his assumption of me was just totally wrong, and I hate that. The goal in this channel, before I get started, is just to show you guys, and y'all know it anyway, just simple stuff that the normal person that's mechanically inclined can do, you know, to make your saw a little more productive. If I got saws here that are borderline race saws, yeah, that I've took a little far, yes I do. That John's Red, that's borderline race saw, and I'll just tell you, it ain't making anywhere near the compression that the other saw is, and it was just in the same type of wood, same type of chain, same size bar and chain, and if you ain't cut sugar maple, it will really put a test to your saw. And me and Tim was talking about it in the comments, and you know, he talking about cutting it cold. I've cut it frozen, man. It's that sap freezes. It's some crazy stuff to cut. But that saw was pulling so hard, and I may show it all in another video after this. But it stretched and already worn out. You know, the chains on its last couple of fallings. It's down to where I'm hand filing and not putting it in the grinder. But I had a really nasty fall on that thing. I hogged the gullet out with a little fall and then went back the big fall. Pulled the top plate in. I set my drags with the Oregon depth gauge. I don't know what it sets them at, but it ain't real jerky and just has a real smooth cut and pulls a nice chip. We may get into a falling or grinding video on another date, but it's just another one of them deals. There's a blue million of them out there, and you know, no one's reinventing the wheel at it. You know, there's an art to falling, and everybody has their own way of doing that artwork. But you know, back on topic, I'm gonna try to quote his quote that he had put in my comments on that video. And man, you're welcome to come in and correct me if I butcher this, but he said, "I have no problem with the way you do port work." He even commented on the 61 video, but also put, you know, for not doing machine work. You know, that was cool, but I didn't need to hear that. You know, I know better. I know it. There was a lot of comments like that, but, you know, I get it. Let's see, it said, I have no trouble with the way you do port work. What bothers me is when someone comes to me and says that because of you and Iron Horse, which I don't even have a tenth of the following Iron Horse has. Man has 20,000 subscribers. I don't even have 1,000 yet, so, you know, that they don't see why machine work's needed, that you and Iron Horse say that it's useless and pointless. Well, I don't know who told you that, but that's just a downright lie. I've never said that. I know in some of Harvey's videos he has said that it's not necessary to make a strong saw, and I don't agree with a lot of what the man says. There's some stuff I do, believe it or not. But that's one thing I agree with. It is not necessary to do machine work to make a good, strong running work saw. Have we done machine work here? Well, yes and no. And do I feel machine work is beneficial? Hell yes, I do. On a cylinder like this, Husky cylinder, I've not found a way to cut the base down, but anyone that's followed my channel for the last couple of years knows that the flat base cylinders and cylinder heads, I took that down by hand, pulled about 30 thousandths off of it. Freaking took forever, but I've checked it with the straight edge. It's good and true with caliper and all, you know, it's good. I've took the deck down on a lot of steel saws. We've even went in and pulled material out of Squish bands. I think the piston fell earlier. I can't take credit for this. Matthew Olson, let's see. He is the fellow that sent the 288 to Bucking. I watched his channel for years. I don't watch him so much anymore, but I've watched a lot of his older stuff. Learned a lot from him. It's honestly who I learned to set up a degree wheel by watching. It's a really good video on that. I think he's actually doing a 350 Husky in that video, but I think the title was called like More Poor Man's Porting. He'd shown this and I thought it was creative as hell, and you know, it works. Some really coarse sandpaper, obviously the better paper you use, the better your yield is going to be. And I've got a brake caliper tool that I bought probably 20 years ago, and somehow magically it'll fit into the bottom of that piston, and I can take the 3/8 bit that goes in my impact driver and put in that and put in a drill, and you know, you can pull 2 or 3 thousandths at a time. I don't recommend going any more than that, but you know, I'll cut a little, pull it down, clean everything, get all the shavings out, and then do it again. Usually 2 to 3 thou at a time. I've pulled upwards of 10 thousandths out of Squish bands, mainly because I didn't like the way they looked, and then a couple to clear a larger piston or a piston with a taller crown height. But no, man, I don't have any idea where you got that. It blew my mind, actually, really kind of bothered me, but I've never preached that or said it. You know, there's people out there that say it's useless, and you know, those people have a lot to learn. But I'll say it again, for just a work saw or a production saw, no, it's not necessary. The price difference between a man doing machine work and a man doing simple port work, you know, I don't really like charging people. I'm not going to get into prices, but I have looked into guys that do machine work. It seems it varies. I've seen guys charge as much as $1,000 to do a saw. I mean, come on, give me a break. I hope no one watching this is charging that. That's just... I wouldn't even charge anywhere near half of that to do a complete rebuild on one. It's just... the couple of times I have charged has been on like Max or something that's simple to do, and you know, I didn't even clear $150 at the end of the day when it was over. But you know, I didn't have a whole lot of time in doing it either. But you know, it is what it is. I ain't trying to take business away from no one. I don't even want any business. I do saws for, you know, subscribers and buddies, and you know, I ain't trying to run a business here. Never have, never will. It'd go from a hobby to a headache. But what the hell is machine work? Someone's gonna... I know some people get confused. Surely most of you that watch me have watched Hopper. This cylinder had 50 thousandths squish. There's a lot of white come off the saw, but when I pulled it down, there was catastrophe in it. The plating off the crown of the piston was just chipped, and I don't know, it's just weird. I'd never seen nothing like it. Maybe something went through it, maybe it ate something, I don't know, I doubt it, but right below the squish band, the plating's just chewed up and flaked away all around that thing. It's kind of weird, really. No scoring or nothing, just, you know, I don't know. But it had 120 PSI when I checked it. The highest I could get it to rev with a clean 4-stroke was like 13,080 RPMs. And you guys can go back and watch the video on that saw. It was like 2171 versus a big bore 372. Saw run good and pulled good. Anyone would have been happy with it, I think. But, you know, it wouldn't have lasted long. But off topic, 50,000 Squish. When I pulled it off the kit saw, it had just under 150 PSI, but I left the exhaust timing on it really, really late. I don't even think I touched it, just done a polish and a widen, but that's kind of within spec of a 372 with a base gasket, you know, one that's got a few hours on it, but let's say you had the 50 thou and all you wanted to do was, you know, tighten up the Squish, get it pull it down to 20 thou, you know, you're going to pick up a good decent amount of static compression there. We all know that. What these guys will do, and Hopper's got videos, you can know where that camera cut off, but it just timed out. I'm sorry if it's got a little glitch. Other saw porters, Tree Monkey, his series, just search Tree Monkey Porting Series. It's been up a few years. It's a pretty good series. The only thing I'll disagree with them on is that I think he says pop-ups are just a lazy way to gain compression. Well, honestly, it's an inexpensive way to gain compression, but I do feel the transfers need work for a pop-up, but others do it without even touching the transfers and get results. So, you know, probably just my opinion. But with that said, chuck this in a lathe. It'll honestly take longer to set it up than it does to cut. They'll pull 30 thou off of that base, maybe a little more to compensate for glue, and, you know, put it back on the saw and bam, you got 20,000 Squish. You just gained compression, a better running saw. It also moves the exhaust timing 2 or 3 degrees in a better direction, gives you room to play with there. Moves the intake port, depending on how far you do it, into either a good or a bad zone. If you've got a really early opening, you know, it can be beneficial, but if your port's already opening kind of late, you may end up having to throw a little epoxy into the floor of the intake port. I've done it here myself on some Chinese stuff, which is perfectly fine, nothing wrong with it at all. That's kind of what triggered that video Friday. I'd commented on Aaron 660. Damn thing sounded like a beast, you know, looked like a beast. They had done machine work, and I knew that. I was aware of it. I knew exactly why he had to put the epoxy in, you know. I've been around this game, you know, going on 6 years in the saw game. Ain't much I've not seen, but, you know, I still pick up something and learn a little bit of something every now and then. Either from watching or reading, or hell, just my own trial and error. But I'd commented, you know, said saw sounds strong, man. I had to glue my big bore up too, which is very common. The port timing on them big bore cylinders is all over the place. I reckon if you're putting one on a Chinese bottom end, it's just horrible everywhere. But, you know, in that video on mine, I got lucky. Exhaust timing was good. Transfers were kind of late, depending on what you like, but, you know, I moved them, got them, I think it saw at a 100-degree exhaust opening. Squish band in it was nice and flat. I show it in the video. It was a nice cylinder from the Duke, a Nicosil coated one. Probably never get another one that looked like it, but it was a nice piece. Saw makes killer compression more than I'd like. I've honestly had thoughts of pulling it down, raising the exhaust roof just to kill a little bit of compression. And I am running a decomp in it. Let's see, one pulls all you get out of decomp, and it's a new OEM valve. You know, it is what it is. You pull it and the decomp pops out. So, you know, I'm smart enough, I put a decomp in it. Got some really good rope in it the last time and put the big D handle on it, and knock on wood, ain't broke anything since, but yeah, you know, you can end up having to epoxy up that port, but what it was, you know, I said I had to glue mine too, and, you know, he'd made the comment, and I took it kind of smart-assed, which it was, and, you know, I'm pretty sure he meant it to be. He said, well, his had a bunch of machine work and actually needed the epoxy. So I commented, well, mine did too, you know, I meant that it needed the epoxy, and I didn't even read all of the next comment. It was, you know, it was kind of long, got technical, and I just said, man, I'm not doing this in this man's video. I deleted my comment, and, you know, this had went on for a couple of weeks. I guess evidently he thought that I hated machine work. I don't know. Still don't know where you got that at, man, but whatever. I hate that it happened. Let's see. So I made that video, and, you know, we ended up deleting it just out of respect for some of you longtime members, and I seen that him and one of my longtime followers, Tim, had got into it in the comments. You know, I hate that, but I also respect the hell out of a man that don't give a damn to show his opinion. So, you know, it is what it is. You can take what you want out of that, but with that said, we'll get off the topic of that, but, you know, it just kind of triggered the reason behind all of this, I guess. And if you think I'm being lame or being an asshole, guys, ain't making no one stay in here, ain't making no one watch a video. Hell, you're welcome to leave, but I hope you hang around. You know, you may learn something a little different than what you're used to seeing, but I'm not going to show you nothing that don't work. That's just not me. I don't believe in BSing people, but let's move to the Squish band. Let's see, I hate video on this GoPro. My other camera died. Well, the battery died. You can see that thing's got a pretty narrow band. And you guys that have checked Squish know that you'll check it out near the plate and there's a cylinder wall, and that's your tightest spot 9 times out of 10. I have seen it vary depending on how Chinesey and how crappy the plating was poured in the cylinder. Most OEM stuff will check the tightest out near the ridge of the band. And most of the time they'll taper as you go toward the combustion chamber. Well, by going in and cutting that band, and, you know, we have done it by sanding, takes forever, but you get a nice clean result. You're flattening that band. And, you know, you're going to have to raise your bait. You're going to have to cut more off your base to compensate for that, you know. To keep that 20 thousandths, let's say if you had already cut 30 off of your base, if you want to cut 20 thousandths out of the band, well, you know, you're going to have to cut another 20 out of the base. It's just like a chain reaction, and then your port timing's all skewed a couple degrees again, and, you know, it is what it is. But what that does, it flattens that band, and what this does is improves the quench area. This is the flat surface between the piston and the Squish band. They're on a cylinder head. What this allows for, it just allows for a cleaner, tighter, more efficient burn. And in the end, you know, yielding more horsepower. What this also does, I don't know why I laid that down. I hope I got it in frame. May not have in the first one, but again, I don't like the GoPro videoing, but what this does is decreases the size of the combustion chamber, and in turn, you know, both of these are going to increase static compression. You know, tighter, more efficient, cleaner burn, bigger pop, more horsepower. I hope that makes sense. If you're an old hot rodder, it's like shaving those old double hump heads. It's just better in the end. Is all of this needed to make a good, strong running saw? No, it's not. But does it help? Hell yes, it helps. just watch some of the videos of these guys that do machine work. They are just freaking torque monsters. Looks like you can damn run really aggressive drags, you know, and pull some monster chips out of some wood. But take note, I've talked to a lot of other people. This is not just my opinion. I'm certified in engine performance, engine repair, diagnostics, or well, once was years ago. I've even got the small engine certificates hanging over here that I got 25 years ago. That means nothing to nobody, I know, though. An engine running at 200, 220 psi, the bottom end of it is not going to live as long as an engine running at 165 psi. I don't care who you are. If you argue that, you know, I'm just going to advise you to go take some classes or do a little research, read a book. It's just common sense. And the nylon caged bearings that come in these things, I've seen some last 20 years. I've had saws here I've done that the PTO bearing was done in it in a year. And, you know, that was OEM bearings. That's a lot of why I've stopped using them. You know, it is what it is. Could have just been bad bearing, but, you know, who knows. I buy whatever bearings I can get and stick in them now and don't lose any sleep over it. And, you know, things seem to do well. But I'm just saying that, you know, the saw with a little more than stock compression. I ain't saying you have to run stock compression on one, you know. A lot of the times that's just, you know, whatever, it is what it is. But you don't need a damn saw with 200 and 220 psi. It's just unneeded, unnecessary. And, you know, I ain't trying to steer business away from anyone. These guys have their customers. They have return customers. You know, I'm sure saw for saw, their saw's gonna outcut mine, but 9 times out of 10, what I send people, usually 10 times out of 10, that's all they wanted, you know. The Johnser that I done, most of you watched that video. You know, that saw's got a lot of stuff done to it that I normally don't show in videos. Just take in mind, if, you know, I'm saying keep your exhaust roof moderate and, you know, throw a little intake timing at it. Work your transfers, you know, that's usually for a production work saw or a firewood saw. And let's face it, guys, a firewood saw gets the mortal living hell beat out of it. I've even seen a lot of other YouTubers with channels bigger than mine that'll tell you that a firewood saw gets more abuse thrown at it than anything. And I switch saws in and out. I know what a sharp chain is and what it feels like. I ain't gonna lie and say that I run a razor sharp chain the whole time I'm cutting. I'm sure most other people don't either, but like that Johnser, if I handed that thing to somebody and they kissed the dirt with the chain, got it just a little bit dull, they're gonna smoke the top end on it. But the 365 is a totally different build. Port timing was nowhere near as aggressive. It's not turning anywhere near as high of an RPM in or out of the cut. And 9 times out of 10, that's how I set a work saw up, you know. We've shown I get pretty good improvements before and after, and I've got, you know, lightly ported 1010s that, you know, in a 20-inch piece of wood are 3 or 4 seconds faster than a stock one. I've got other ones that are 7 or 8 seconds faster, but, you know, who knows how long it'll last. Just is what it is, but I think I covered most of everything here. One other thing, I don't think I covered it. I've shot 2 or 3 of these videos and had to delete them because I've screwed up my words. Or if you ever seen video clips where a director is going cut, 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 that's how a lot of my YouTube stuff goes. I spend more time shooting these videos than I do working on saws, it seems like, but your transfer ports. I see guys do this, and I ain't gonna say it really bothers me, but just take this as something that I'm trying to help you. I'm not trying to make you mad, not trying to say what you're doing's wrong, but where is that piston? Okay, this piston at bottom dead center, transfers, you know, they're open. Got your transfer port completely open. Let's say you don't move those at all. You pull 30 or 40 thou out of the base of this cylinder. What that does is shoves that piston up a little bit, and it's closing 30 or 40 thou of that transfer port off, and you're losing anywhere from 6 to 8 degrees of transfer port duration. That may not make sense to anyone at all. Someone may say it's totally wrong, but think about it. You're moving the transfer, you're moving all those ports down. And, you know, I see saws running. When they start into the cut, you know, sounds like they're revving 14,000. If they had a tack on it, it's probably not. Seems a big loud pipe, and a lean-tuned saw sounds like it's ripping a lot hotter than it is. And, you know, if you work your transfers, I'm not talking about you. This is to the guys that say my upper transfers are stock. Well, you're leaving a lot on the table. They'll start through the cut, and as it goes to get into the bottom, you can just tell that saw's starving for fuel. And when they come out of the cut, you can just hear a lean condition in the saw, kind of like if you've got your low jet tuned a little lean. Then once the saw sits and idles a while, it's fine and dandy and back to normal. Just is what it is. You're running out of fuel up top in the cut, and, you know, at your peak RPM and power band in the cut. You know, that may help someone, it may not. In the last video, I showed how to move your transfers without a right angle. Just use your little round stones or a diamond cutter. You know, it works. If you're using a diamond cutter, it does take longer, but leaves a really nice finish. I've done it for years and yielded really great results. Go watch the video on my 064. I show it in hard and soft wood, and that saw's really not even broke in, and that saw rips. I'd really like to go back into it and make more of a, you know, kind of a race sawish build out of it. That's something I'm looking at doing in the near future, because those things are getting hard to find, and I don't really care to get it out and beat it up and use it as a work saw a lot. Kind of like the 066 we done, damn thing nickel and dimed me to death, and I don't even like getting it out and running it now. But Justin Weaver, if I ever decide to let it go, man, you'll be the first one I let know. I know you really like that saw. If I didn't have so much damn money in it, I'd probably just give you the damn thing, but I've got a small fortune in it, and, you know, I kind of like it. It was the first 066 I done here, or whatever it is, and, you know, it's just part of my collection. But if I ever decide to get rid of it, I'll let you know. Let's see, we covered the squish band, the bass, we covered port timing slightly. But like I said, you know, I never said that it was pointless or didn't work. My Mustang has a ton of machine work on it. Had 64cc 40s on it. They've been milled down to where they have 60cc chambers now. Block's been zero decked, been bored, line honed. I mean, it has a ton of machine work, a lot of money spent. On a downfall, you can't really run a lot of timing in it with pump gas, and kind of wish I'd went a little different route on it, but we don't really mess with it or drive it enough to matter either. So, you know, whatever it is, what it is, that's a discussion for another video. Did we cover this old Max cylinder? I don't even remember. Okay, in another video, I'd mentioned, may have triggered someone, I don't know, I hope not. because I just put these saws on a whole different level, a whole different category than this, and they are. It's a Promax 700 cylinder. I picked it up off of eBay, thought I got a great deal, but I got it here and someone else already been grinding on it. Everything still looks fine. I highly doubt they hurt anything, but damn, they done some butchered up looking stuff. I'd show it, but may come out that they're a subscriber and I don't want to, and may hurt someone's feelings. But guys, take your time, try to do that stuff right. But anyway, with that said, I'd mentioned, you know, some of you guys will cut these bases down by hand, go in and file out the bearing pockets. My hat's off to you for that. I just ain't got the patience for that. I think in that video I said that in most cases you'd be better off just to leave the exhaust timing alone. You know, retain the... These things honestly usually have around 165 PSI, even with like 50,000 squish or something, but a lot of that's due to a golf ball combustion chamber as well. But yeah, that's what I'd said, but you know, I just ain't got the patience for that. And honestly, what you're doing too is throwing the dynamics of everything off. Your gas tank bolts to the intake port, and it's got a bolt that bolts to the oil tank, and you're moving all that closer. You're moving your flywheel closer to your coil. You're throwing the starter cover and starter pawls and all of that off and out of whack. Is it enough to matter or hurt anything? I doubt it, but you know, hell, most of these things are 40 going on 50 years old, and what little you're gaining from that several hours worth of doing that by hand, in my opinion, just ain't worth it when I can take this same CC saw, same bore stroke, and both of them ported, and you know, that 372 is gonna walk off and leave it any day of the week anyway. But that's why I had that thing sitting here. I was trying to think why, but anyway, with that said, you know, I hope someone got something out of this. You know, if I offended someone, run them off, or you think I'm lame or an asshole, and one of you guys, I don't know if you knew what was going on, but come in and said what I done was lame. Well, I guess it just all depends on what part of this earth you grew up on and how you was raised. But I was raised to speak my mind and call someone out, and you know, he apologized. It's all good, no big deal, just a misunderstanding. But yeah, I have nothing against machine work at all. I know it works amazing, but I just don't feel it's necessary to do on every saw. You know, to get 100% out of it, yeah, it is, but for what we're doing here, and just for an old work saw to beat on or make a little money with, guys, it ain't necessary. But take that for what it's worth, and you know, thank you guys for watching and listening, and y'all try to have a good week and stay warm, because it's freaking cold here.